So let's get into this because there's a storm brewing in Philly, and it's not just the weather. Word on the street, okay, maybe a little deeper than that, more like whispers through back channels and soft leaks from close sources, is that Josh Sweat, the defensive end, who was once one of the fiercest on the Eagles line, might be having second thoughts about his move away from Philadelphia. Yeah, you heard that right. Sweat, who walked out in search of greener pastures, or maybe just a bigger payday, is reportedly expressing regret. And if this turns out to be true, it could say a lot about what's going on behind the scenes. You gotta ask, was it really about money? Was it locker room drama? Was there tension with the front office? Or is he simply realizing that not every team has the soul, the culture, the fire that Philly brings to the table? It's easy to think that grass is greener until you land somewhere where it's all artificial turf. And now the buzz is growing. Something's definitely cooking. People close to him say he's looking back. And not with pride, but with a growing sense of what if. Now here's where things get even juicier. Apparently, sources near the Eagles camp have caught wind of Sweat's recent comments made in private settings where he allegedly said he misses the energy, the passion, the culture of the Eagles locker room. We're talking about a guy who was part of some big defensive moments, someone who felt the electricity of Lincoln Financial Field on a 3rd and long in the 4th quarter. That's not something you just replace. His new team might be technically solid, but it seems the emotional and cultural void left behind is starting to hit him. And honestly, can you blame the guy? Philly fans are built different. The team is built different. When you leave that, you leave a part of something much bigger than just football. You leave a city that breathes with every play, and word is Sweat is starting to feel that absence deep in his bones. It's not public yet, but those who've spoken to him say there's a shift in his tone, a longing in his voice. He's not saying I made a mistake out loud, but read between the lines and the message is crystal clear. What's even more fascinating is how his current teammates are reportedly reacting to all of this. There's talk, unconfirmed of course, that some inside his current locker room are starting to pick up on the vibe. One anonymous player allegedly told a friend he doesn't seem all in. Now in a league as competitive and cutthroat as the NFL, not being all in can be a huge red flag. Coaches notice it, teammates feel it, and if Sweat's head is still in Philadelphia while his body's somewhere else, you better believe that tension is gonna grow. It's the kind of thing that can quietly erode a defensive unit, especially one that might not have the same tight bond the Eagles are known for. The chemistry that Philly had on that line, it was special. It was loud, and Sweat at one point was a big part of that identity. You can take the man out of Philly, but it seems you can't take Philly out of the man. And right now, it looks like Sweat is still mentally walking those halls at the NovaCare complex. And don't even get me started on what this means for the Eagles, because you know how Howie Roseman operates, always thinking a few moves ahead. If he catches even the slightest whiff that Sweat might want to return, he's going to run the numbers, weigh the locker room dynamics, and start asking questions. Would the fans want him back? Would the current roster welcome him? These aren't simple yes or no answers. There's pride involved, ego, unfinished business. But let's be real. Eagles Nation doesn't easily forget, and they definitely don't forgive quickly. Still, if there's one thing that can sway Philly fans, it's humility and passion. If Sweat comes out and admits he made a mistake, if he owns it, you might see a shift. There's always a path back, but it's narrow and lined with expectations. The Eagles are a franchise that knows what it wants. And if there's a reunion coming, it won't just be about nostalgia. It'll be about fire redemption and proving that the past doesn't have to stay in the rearview mirror. Now, here's the thing that really caught my attention. Word is that even a few key players on the Eagles have been quietly talking about Sweat again. No names, because let's be honest, nobody's going to go on the record about this, but a little locker room chatter can say a lot. One guy reportedly said during training camp, "He was our dog man. We could have used him last year." That's not just a throwaway comment. That's the kind of thing that sticks. Sweat left a mark in our locker room, and apparently the door wasn't slammed shut behind him. Think about what that means. We're not just dealing with a player feeling homesick. We're dealing with a team that might just be open to rekindling an old flame. The pieces haven't moved yet, but they're rattling. You can hear it if you listen close enough. A soft whisper behind the scenes, like the calm before the storm. And if this gains any more momentum, you better believe it's going to turn into one of the most talked about storylines of the season. Another layer to all this is what Sweat's departure might have done to him mentally. Because remember, not every athlete thrives in new environments. Some guys are system players, some are culture players, and there's no shame in that. But it does mean that when you take them out of that ecosystem, the one that nurtured their rise, they start to drift. Reports are that Sweat hasn't quite found his rhythm since the move. Stats are down, impact plays not as many, and while that could be chalked up to scheme differences or growing pains, it could also point to something deeper. A lack of fire, a missing drive. And when you dig into that, you start to see a picture forming. Maybe he didn't just leave the Eagles, maybe he left the best version of himself behind. Now he's watching from a distance as his old squad keeps pushing forward while he's stuck trying to recapture a spark that might only ignite back in midnight green. So now we have this situation where Sweat is out there physically on one team emotionally and mentally tied to another. That's a dangerous place to be for any athlete, for any human really. Split loyalty, regret, a sense of being adrift. And maybe now he realizes that the bond he had in Philly was more than just business. It was brotherhood. It was a shared mission. And when you lose that, you start to question your decisions. That's the vibe people close to him are picking up. Not sadness, not bitterness, just a low, steady regret. Like a man who thought he was making a strategic career move, only to discover that he left his soul behind. Will he speak up? Will he go public? Or will this all stay in the shadows, another chapter in the NFL's long book of what could have been? That's the question we're all watching. And just like that, this rumor is no longer a whisper. It's a hum growing louder by the day. From fans online noticing Sweat's social media behavior to reporters picking up odd bits of info from unnamed sources, it's all starting to form. A picture. No, he hasn't said anything officially. There's been no statement or no sit-down interview, but sometimes actions and silences speak louder than words. And right now, everything about Josh Sweat screams one thing: regret. Whether that turns into action is anyone's guess. But you better believe that if things keep trending this way, the question won't be, did he make a mistake? It'll be, is he coming back? Because in the NFL, nothing stays quiet forever. Not feelings, not rumors, not when the stakes are this high. The first thing you gotta understand is that in Philly, stories like this don't just happen in isolation. The Eagles are a franchise built on passion, loyalty, and a kind of gritty identity that's as much about heart as it is talent. So when a player like Josh Sweat starts sending off signals that he might be looking back, it immediately raises eyebrows. Behind closed doors, the chatter is that Sweat's relationship with the coaching staff and front office may have been rockier than what was publicly shown before he left. Maybe that's why he left in the first place. Disagreements and met expectations, or even just a sense that his role was going to diminish. But here's the kicker. People close to the Eagles are whispering that if Sweat wants back those old wounds, might heal faster than anyone expects. Philly is a city that rewards resilience, that values second chances if you come back hungry enough. But it also demands sincerity. And if Sweat wants in, it's going to take more than a quick "I miss Philly" tweet. It's going to take proving he's ready to fight, ready to reclaim the fire that made him special. Now picture the current roster's reaction if Sweat did return. Because that's not a small detail. Locker room dynamics in the NFL are crucial. They can make or break seasons. Some players might welcome him back as a brother who left for understandable reasons but always had Philly in his heart. Others might see his departure as a betrayal or distraction. The Eagles are no strangers to drama, but they're also a team that prides itself on unity. The rumor is that Sweat has been quietly reaching out to a few former teammates, trying to rebuild bridges and test the waters for a possible reunion. If true, that tells you this isn't just about regret, it's about redemption. It's about wanting to be part of something bigger again. But whether the Eagles front office and coaching staff are on the same page remains to be seen. Philly. Fans are passionate but unforgiving. They want to know if Sweat's return would add value or just reopen old chapters best left closed. Another angle to consider is the financial and contractual implications. Sweat's departure was partly driven by the typical NFL calculus money opportunity role.